often have you actually sat down with yourself and been like, what are you doing? You know, eye-opening. What are you doing? Like, it just starts with you and removing yourself to know that God always blesses you with better, but you have to be en route to improving yourself. Because if you don't improve yourself and start to learn what's on your palate, what does your higher self like? What does she exude? What is her flavor? Where does she go for her date nights? How does she treat herself? How does she move? How does she carry herself? Then you're not going to know the difference between what's for you and what's not for you, and what you're wasting time on and what you could be pouring into, right? So I had to really take a step back. I know a lot of people will use their age as an excuse, but I'm sure that we can find, even if you searched on Google, women in their 40s, women in their 60s, their 80s, that are still thriving based on their habits, their mindset, how they take care of themselves. And why not for you? It's just, you got to break this mindset that you are who you are for the rest of your life. No, you are who you are, maybe for the rest of your life, because you want to stay stuck into that mindset. But until you actually become aware and pay attention that when you want to shed skin and become a new flower and become a new person to who your beautiful self exudes, you will know that she has to shed layers in order for her to become brand new, right? We're a cocoon, and then we end up becoming that butterfly that now glows, that enters every room feeling sophisticated, feeling so sexy and confident and healthy in her body. And there's no age to that. It's a mindset. And so changing your mindset to see that you have to give up some of these things that actually hold you back. And for some reason, we just hold on to them for so long, so hard, like they're our prized possession, but you are God's prized possession. Realize that and move like that. Carry yourself on the highest pedestal. Realize that at one point, we started to see other people as a potential. You are the potential. You have potential to grow, to evolve, to blossom, to become that beautiful butterfly. So don't ever give up on yourself. And don't forget to hit that like button, that subscribe button, and the post notification bell for when I drop the next video. Hello, beautiful, and welcome back. I love having you guys here, and I think you're going to enjoy this one today. Today, I'm going to be telling you about 7 things I removed and gave up in my mid-20s. And hold up, before anyone clicks off this video, it doesn't really matter at what age. This will still be beneficial to those who are older than me and beneficial to those who are younger than me. So keep watching. As we reinvent ourselves, it's super important to know that you have to give up a few things or acknowledge a few things that are not serving you in your life. And I realized that, you know, a lot of the times we don't really realize our own potential. I think we can all say, or entertaining people out of lust for attention, for love, for their time, for their potential. I remember my first boyfriend thinking, oh my God, this is it, this is him. And instead of pouring into myself, I was always pouring into him. And it continued like that in a lot of my relationships, that I hindered my own growth because I was so focused on the other person. I was so focused on what they were into and pleasing them, and just always being that yes man for them, that whatever they wanted to do, I would do. And even that if it went against who I am, but I also didn't know who I wanted to be or who I was, because I desperately wanted this one role in somebody's life. I was pouring so much energy into seeing somebody else's growth, somebody else's potential. He was the bodybuilder. He was doing so well. I was the cheerleader. I'm just going to be that wife that's proudly on the sidelines clapping. When God actually put us on this earth to be more than just one role, to be more than just a wife, to be more than just a girlfriend, to be more than just a mother, to be more than just, you know, the standard woman, which is what? You know, I had to pull that back. And I don't know if you had that season, if you can relate to that season, or if you're going through that season, these 7 things I want you to become aware of that is probably holding you back from reinventing yourself and creating that dream life that you've always wanted. Growing up, I was just like, I'm going to find somebody, I'm going to, be their cheerleader, I'm going to cheer them on, but I never had goals for myself, and I never really pushed myself to go harder for myself because I was just pouring into everybody else. After moving to a new city for love and it didn't work out, I had my dad pass away and the breakup within that same week. I was asking God, what do you have for my life? Because I know you don't give me 2 roller coasters at once without a purpose. And I also did promise him that I would focus more on what I currently do. I would help women and empower them using my own testimony. And you know what I had to do? Number 1, I stopped the need to go out every night or to be around people. I needed to get really comfortable with myself and solitude because I needed to focus on growing, as you do too. As you reinvent yourself, sometimes you don't even realize when you're in a relationship how much you've forgotten about yourself or you've lost yourself until it ends and you're like, I'm so lost. And I was so lost. I had no idea what I liked to eat, what I liked as my own cheat food, my own cheat meals. I had no idea my own routine because I was following somebody else for so long. And I was also going out with my friends or our entwined friends all the time that I just didn't have my own boundaries or things that I like to do. I didn't even go out by myself because I was so scared. I'm always around people. And if you're always around people, you are never going to be able to venture out and possibly meet new people. As you reinvent yourself, you want to shed skin. You want to become a new person or a better version of the old version of you who people used to know. Because now I have to reintroduce myself. The Shanice you had met a year ago no longer exists. Her boundaries are up, her standards are high. And I'm okay with knowing that I'm going to be okay with people, without people around me, knowing that I can still pour into my cup and fill myself up without people being around me, that I'm still capable of having a great life without going out every night, without needing to drink or sabotage my successes and the results that I'm already making because I'm going out every night. I stopped because I was like, this is not serving me. A lot of the people who are going out oftentimes all the time, they're trying to avoid something that is inside of them. And if you're always distracted, you're always busy, you're not going to be able to actually sit down with yourself comfortably and be like, hey, let's have a talk. Because how often have you actually sat down with yourself and been like, what are you doing? Eye-opening. What are you doing? Like, is this who you actually want to become? Or do you keep going back to self-sabotaging because it feels comfortable? You don't have to deal with the problem. And if you're distracted around a bunch of people where you're going out every night, you don't really have to deal with the problems that are actually occurring and reoccurring. And you just keep self-sabotaging and it goes downhill and it keeps spiraling from there. And I knew that I just wanted a better reality, and I knew that I had to stay inside and get comfortable with pouring into me. I developed so many books and also a lot of perfume because I just started pouring into me. And the less I spend money outside, like at bars with all these drinks and all this other like too much food consumption, I was able to buy myself more books, more perfume, and more earrings. Example, right? So number 2 is going to be, I stopped entertaining boys, men, useless distractions. I just stopped putting my focus in trying to be loved or searching for validation, acceptance, lust, energy beside me that honestly was draining me. And I started pouring into my self-care, into my grooming, my daily grooming, my habits, becoming that woman. I obviously knew, like, I wasn't the first pick when I was in elementary school, high school, and even in some of my relationships that made me feel like crap. I wasn't the first pick. I had to deal with women in and out of my first relationship, and that ruined me. It ruined my self-esteem, it ruined my confidence. And I don't know what it is with this toxic behavior of just thinking just because there's potential in somebody that we should allow and tolerate when they treat us terribly. People show you their true colors. And sometimes we're so naive that we don't even see that they're disrespecting us, constantly disrespecting you. And you're not even on their pedestal the way they're on your own pedestal. So I had to pull myself back and put myself on a pedestal. And I told myself, I'm going to become that woman that I don't need to open my mouth when I walk into rooms. My energy is just going to speak volumes. My beauty is going to radiate because my internal beauty is so big that it reflects on the outside, right? And I knew that when I walk into a room, I don't need people to pick me. You're going to have to come sit at my table and answer a few questions to see if you actually align with me. Now that I knew myself, and now that I'm growing to know myself, I know what serves me and what doesn't, what aligns and what doesn't, what makes me feel good and what doesn't. And oftentimes, too many times, the things and the people that don't actually make us feel good get the most amount of attention, and they distract us from who we could possibly become. You need to pay attention so you can remove that before you end up losing yourself to the point where you let it get so bad, or you let it go for too long that you can't do anything about it, or you're just too old. And when I mean too old, I mean like 85. Okay, maybe 70, but I'm just saying, like, don't wait too long to remove certain things from your life that aren't serving you. Like, I just had to get tired of, the runarounds where men would just tell me this and tell me that and tell me this. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to build myself to the point where if I can provide that life for myself, if I can do what you say you can do for me, I'm just going to do it for myself, because actions speak louder than words, but your consistency speaks louder than anything else. And if you just have my head in a whole rat race, you don't deserve me. I had to put myself on a pedestal and only attract men who did not play with my time, did not play with my value, did not play with me being on their highest pedestal. And I see that, and I see that in my relationship now. Like, you have to put yourself on a pedestal and work on yourself so you can have boundaries. And just remember that sometimes it's not even like you like somebody. It could be really out of lust. I had to really pull it back. I'm like, Shen, you deserve the world. And now that I'm looking back at things that I lusted for, people that I lusted for, I'm like, I'm so glad we didn't work out. And I'm so glad we didn't have kids together, because my palette has changed to a woman that I love now. And the woman that I am right now needed to go through all the pain that you probably put me through, that I love who I am now and I love who I'm becoming. But sometimes you just sit in it and you let people treat you like crap, not knowing that if you put your foot down and look the other way and be like, you know what, forget it. Instead of chasing you and begging you to treat me well. And I stayed in relationship. I remember I stayed in my first relationship for like 5 years, even though I dealt with just remember dealing with women often. And that just deteriorated my self-esteem. I would even call these women and text them and be like, do you know who I am? I'm the girlfriend of, you know what I mean? And just embarrassing myself. I'm sure some of you guys have done it too. I've done a little bit of crazy stuff that I'm like, I'll never bark up for a man unless that's my man. That is my man that treats me well and is loyal to me. I'm not barking up for you, okay? But if you're out there disrespecting me and embarrassing me, girl, you can have them, because I deserve better. And I wish I knew that at a younger age so that I didn't have to put up with that for so long. But because he looked so good, I was like, this light-skinned guy, he's so fine. Like, I don't want anybody to have him. Honey, you can have him now. If a man tried to disrespect me, you can have him. Because it's funny, I've only had 3 relationships. And in each of them, or in the 2 of them, I really never thought that God would give me anything better. And until I really put my faith in God and I was like, I know you have something better out there for me. He gave it to me. He put it in front of me and it worked out. And here I am. Number 3 was eating like crap and not having a food schedule. Listen, ladies, if you want to look your best and feel top tier all the time, even without makeup on, you need to actually eat well, because a lot of you guys are on survival mode. We are talking a lot about nutrition in these 8 weeks, but you need to really take in like what you put into your body is going to reflect on the outside. And oftentimes, if you're not wanting to, work on what you're eating, you're going to be settling for what you're eating. And chances are you're going to be settling for the things that come into your life as well. And they're not usually always going to be the best option for you or what God had for you in the first place. But because you chose that you didn't want to do the work or learn what's going to work better for you, you decided to sit in it. Sit in it until you got sick. Sit in it until you became unhealthy with your body, where you don't like what you look like in the mirror. You accept the bare minimum from men or from little boys. You accept the bare minimum from life, because if you don't feel good about yourself, and if you don't eat well, it's like a car like dying on fuel. Like there's no fuel and you're just surviving. You know what I mean? You have to treat your body like the most luxurious car, and you don't have to own a luxury car to feel like luxury. Okay, to even know the difference. Like it could be like a favorite item in the house, right? You treat it so well, you shine it. It's like your dog. You pet it, you take care of it. Take care of yourself. What you put in your body matters. Let me tell you, when I was eating like crap, like my gas smelled terribly, like TMI, but I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate. Like I was constipated, I was bloated every day. I would wake up tired and angry and just miserable. I wasn't that nice, you know what I mean? Like, because my body was just so uncomfortable. And it was from the food that I was eating. I was on survival mode. I would always grab Starbucks. I would grab Booster juice. I would grab all these things outside of my house that's not water. I would grab a lot of food on the go. I also was a waitress, so I would be eating a lot of restaurant food. Oh my God, I ate a lot of sausages. Pork sausages, get your head out of the gutter. I ate a lot. I love sausages, okay? But I ate a lot of hot dogs and just a lot of processed food, and my breakouts, my face, my body was inflamed. And until I changed that, that's when I started to feel actually really confident, full of energy, eating whole foods. You don't just work out. You actually have to do the food part and the water, because if you want results, it starts in the kitchen. They did not lie to you. They didn't lie to you. It starts in the kitchen. And you know what? Having a food schedule is so important, because as we grow up and we're like becoming adults, we forget that we need to actually still have a schedule for ourselves. You know how babies have a schedule for when they're, napping and when they need to eat, and you get used to their schedule. Like, you also need a schedule too. I have a schedule. I eat 6 meals a day, if not 5, and I just make sure I stick to my macros. But with no guidance, no structure, no schedule, no foundation, your goals are going to be like out of the window. You'll catch yourself just eating 1 meal a day, going to bed hungry. And the less meals you eat, the more body fat you're going to consume. And that's not where we want to go. We want to actually fuel our body in increments where your body can break down the healthy foods and turn it into muscle and fuel for energy. Number 4 is going to be, I stopped spending money on useless things. I stopped going out and spending money on alcohol and partying. I also stopped spending money on a bunch of like clothes, because I used to, when I lived at my mom's house, I used to buy a lot of clothes. I used to buy a lot of wigs. Oh my God, I think I would buy a wig once a month. And then finally I found a wig vendor that my hair, I've had this for at least a good year now. So I'm not always constantly, but that can add up. Like, all of that stuff can add up. And then of course you're going to be living paycheck to paycheck. And I knew that I wanted to travel. I want to see the world. So instead of always spending my money on useless things, I don't try and keep up with the trends. I also don't eat fast food often. I don't eat fast food. It's like some of you guys are ordering fast food every single day for lunch and for dinner. I don't know where are you guys getting that money from? Because I'm like, shit. Damn, like I have a decent living, but you don't see me at Starbucks every single day. You don't see me at the fast food restaurants you don't even see me at a restaurant every single day. like 1 to 2 times a week, but I'm not trying to like, I pinch my wallet if I'm going out. I'm not even trying to overspend on food and alcohol and drinks. I want to see the world. And when I see the world, I want to eat. Actually travel and do the fun things that I want to do. And a lot of you guys are just spending your money on useless things that actually don't multiply your money, don't allow you to have more freedom, don't allow you to invest, don't allow you to start a business, because you keep spending it on stupid things or on so much junk food or in so much fast food or so much juice. Like $3 does add up. You know, when my partner wants to go out and he doesn't walk with water, he goes to the convenience store and he'll buy like a Powerade and then he'll buy water. And I'm like, dude, you could have just got that from home, you know, and saved $7. And I know like people will be like, oh, it's just $7. I'm like, $7 can add to a flight. That's how I look at it. Or a designer bag. So save a little more and be cautious and intentional with your purchases. Number 5, I had to give up playing small, diminishing my goals, being comfortable, settling. Y'all can agree on this one. I think oftentimes we allow the thought of other people's perspectives and opinions about us to limit anything we do or touch. And we end up playing small. We end up thinking that, oh, too much is a little too much, or you being yourself is what is going to be the reason why people don't like you. And I had to grasp myself. I had to sit with myself and really think about, like, am I living my life today as if it was the last day I got to live? Because tomorrow's not promised. And if I stay stuck because of the fear of other people's opinions and projections, would I be happy with going to heaven or dying today? No. And you wouldn't either, because we're just limiting ourselves. We're not aiming for the stars. I had to give up settling to be mediocre. Look, God did not put us on this earth to be mediocre and to be like everybody else, or to actually care so much about the opinion of other people. And I think this actually stems from elementary school, because, you know, we want to be liked, we want to make friends, we want to be a part of the cool kids and the cool groups and the hangouts and be invited to birthday parties and just always be involved, until I realized, number 1, I don't need to be around people all the time. I don't need to think that filling my cup means I need to be around people or I need to be validated or loved by people. No. When I realized that I was just settling because I was afraid. And I'm sure that you settle because you're afraid of the unknown, but without putting yourself out there into doing what makes you come alive, what makes you feel proud of yourself, most proud of yourself, beautiful, confident. We just end up limiting ourselves because of other people. And that's the main reason we limit ourselves, the fear of how people are going to perceive us and judge us. And I knew that in order for me to become great, I just had to create this mindset of not caring, of I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to do what feels right. I'm just going to go with the flow. I'm going to come alive, and the right people are going to align with me. And that is just how life is going. And I couldn't be more happier. So don't settle. There's so much in you that the seed is in there, and it just needs your water. It just needs you to believe in yourself and have faith and add more water into yourself, because oftentimes we just pour into everybody else. We see everybody else's potential before we even see our own potential. And so that's why I was like, no, I'm starting this YouTube channel and I'm going to believe in myself. I said, when I start this channel, I don't know what's going to happen. And I think a lot of us don't start this YouTube channel. I know a lot of you guys want to start your YouTube channel. It's because we're like, oh, nobody's going to watch our video. When I posted my first video, I was like, you know what? Even if I get 1 view, at least I was able to change 1 life, you know? And that's how I look at all my videos. Even if I get 1 view or 1 comment, at least I was able to change somebody else's life. Now, if you're enjoying these videos, don't forget to hit that like button, that subscribe button, and send this to another girly. But you're limiting yourself when you could be thinking of why. Who is it going to help? And you can help so many people with your talents, with your energy, with your smile, with how creative you are. And you're just holding yourself back. I talk about this all the time. And that's why you're on this channel, is because I tell you the realist, like, you can't hold yourself back anymore, especially as you want to reinvent yourself this year before the end of the year. Okay. Number 6, I stopped trying to make friends with everybody. Again, I think this stems from elementary school. You know, I had to come to the realization when I would be so let down of my expectations for people and how I would go above and beyond for them, and they wouldn't do that for me. And I had to realize, you know what, instead of pouring into broken people like that really don't want to change, that really only are just selfish, because not everybody wants to change. Not everybody is able to be aware of, like, okay, I'm selfish, right? I'm sure we all have some selfish tendencies. Like, I have boundaries, but I am a type of friend that is loyal, and I hold my integrity and my morals and my values. But when it came around, like, there's some stuff that I've gone through, and I'll go through it alone. And I realized that, you know what, I don't need to try and make friends with everybody. We don't need to share the same values, the same morals. Like, some people you can love from a distance, and God will usually just align the right people to you, and I can count them on my hands. And it's not that I'm not putting myself out there to make friends, but I've been burned so many times, or my expectations of people have been just let down and so low that they just don't vibe high. You know, like, a good example is when you're trying to reinvent yourself and become your happiest, sexiest self, and you have friends that continue to invite you to the bar just to, you know, get trashed, or, you know, encourage you to go on dating apps when you should be working on yourself. Or, you know, they're just always complaining and crying and never actually sitting with themselves to acknowledge or hold themselves accountable. You know, and then you keep repeating the same advice, repeating the same advice. You know, once I knew that I don't have any friends that I can go to for advice, I knew that I needed to improve my circle to where I look for a higher alignment, and I don't just accept anyone to become my friend. I think you can still be kind to people, but, like, I really take that friendship to be, I'm gonna hold a friendship on a pedestal. And I think most people, they have so many expectations of what a person should do for them, but they don't even reciprocate that message. They don't even reciprocate their own expectations for themselves or towards other people. Crazy. Which leads to number 7, and y'all can relate to this: the responsibility to fix people. I've been in relationships where I thought that I could fix people, and again, we see potential, right? And we're like, oh my God, you could do this better. Or maybe if he would just do this, our relationship would be smoother. But sometimes people are just the way that they are, and that's just their character, and you cannot fix everybody. You're not meant to fix people, especially if they don't want to be fixed, especially yourself. You'll start a journey, you'll start a project, and you don't even finish it because you're not ready to. You're not ready to invest. You're not ready to do the work. And when you're reinventing yourself, you have to be ready to give up the bad habits, the bad mindset that you have, the way you think of yourself, a lot of bad behaviors that are going to hinder your growth, even if you want to reinvent yourself. And I knew that instead of pouring into other people, I needed to just pour into myself. I need to start breaking those bad habits and realigning myself with my higher self so that I attract better. Because once you start working on yourself, you're going to start to align with people who get you, with people who are doing the work themselves and understand what it takes, and they hold you to a certain standard that you hold yourself to. Because if you continue to just see potential in everybody else and they don't want to change, you're going to continue wasting your time trying to fix them, and they don't want to be fixed. Not everybody wants to be helped. It just starts with you and removing yourself to know that God always blesses you with better, but you have to be en route to improving yourself. Because if you don't improve yourself and start to learn what's on your palate, what does your higher self like? What does she exude? What is her flavor? Where does she go for her date nights? How does she treat herself? How does she move? How does she carry herself? Then you're not going to know the difference between what's for you and what's not for you, and what you're wasting time on and what you could be pouring into, right? So I had to really, really take a step back and be like, the next relationship I'm getting in, I'm not trying to fix you, right? The aura and the energy should be mutual, where we grow together, where you can kick off me and I can kick off you, and we can come together and we can build a strong foundation. But no more potentials, because I need to be my own potential and level up myself. And so do you. You need to you need to just fall in love with your own energy and your own sense of potential, your own sense of worth, and just pour into yourself. Because look, you're chasing, oh, he could be the love of my life. Like, if somebody wanted to do and be and do that for you, they would do it, right? I knew I like a man that is going to be a provider. He's sweet, he's gentle, he's kind, he's generous. I mean, I can't force a man to be that if that's not what he wants to be, or who he wants to be, or who he can be. There are men out there, trust me, there are women out there, trust me, that can give that to you. So why settle? Listen, it's never too late to start. So don't ever give up on yourself. And don't forget to hit that like button, that subscribe button, and the post notification bell for when I drop the next video. Those were the 7 things that I had to give up. If you're enjoying these series, comment below what next you'd like me to do a video about or answer. I love your questions. I love having you guys here. So don't forget to hit that like button, that subscribe button, and the post notification bell. I love having you guys here, and I thank you guys for watching.